Hey, what's up? Welcome to the beautiful Symphony of the Seas. We are on a 7-night cruise. We're heading to St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Martin, and then the private island Coco Cay. Super excited for this cruise. I also want to thank Royal Caribbean for offering me yet another free cruise. If you want to know how I'm going on all these cruises for free, check out the video that I've linked to this one, and it explains everything about how you can go about doing that. Not only that, my free cruise was an ocean view, and I managed to upgrade to a balcony ocean view for a total of $142, which is amazing. I'll tell you how to do that in a future video that's coming up soon. So I'm fortunate enough to be able to work from anywhere in my job. I feel so fortunate that I'm able to do that. So I'm choosing to work this week on the cruise. So I thought it was a great opportunity to kind of analyze how it is to work on specifically Symphony of the Seas. My friend Jess and co-founder of Work From Boat, which is our kind of digital nomad channel, and it's all about working from cruise ships. She told me she was just on Symphony a little while ago, and she said it was really solid Wi-Fi throughout the ship. So I'm going to test that. So basically what I'm going to do throughout the week, I'm going to try to work in various different places. And then I'm going to rate it on, Wi-Fi speed and reliability, the aesthetic that you're working around and making your coworkers jealous when you're on calls, whether you have access to power, if you're running a laptop, noise level, and then overall comfort of working from that location. So I'll try a bunch of different places. I'm going to work from my desk in the stateroom here. I'm going to try to work out on the balcony for a while. I think I'll probably head to the business center and try their Central Park, which is gorgeous. I think there's a couple spots there and it's fairly nice and quiet. So I'll just rate all these places and I'll give it a score. And then overall, I'll tell you, if you're a digital nomad, if you like to travel and work at the same time, if Symphony of the Seas is a good bet. Today is day one. It's Monday, and we are currently in the Caribbean. I would say at least 100 or so miles north of St. Martin, which is our first stop tomorrow. And sea days are the ones I'm the most concerned about, as everybody's on board and a lot of them are connected to Wi-Fi. So we are going to do a speed test and see exactly what we can get here. Well, this is not a good sign. All right, so even though that speed test was kind of scary, 0.1 megabits per second or megabytes per second, I'm not sure which one it is, it actually isn't too bad. I'm running multiple tabs right now. The web pages seem pretty responsive. I actually had a Hangout meeting with a colleague earlier this morning, and there was no dropouts, and it actually worked pretty good. So I would give the internet in the stateroom a 3. Comfort level, I would say it's pretty comfortable. You can either work at the desk, you could sit on your bed, you could work on the sofa, you could even probably pop out to the balcony, although I haven't speed tested that yet. So I would say comfort level is 4. Aesthetic, I mean, probably not the best aesthetic because, if you really want to make your coworkers jealous, you're probably going to be by the pool or, some great view behind you. But hey, if you've got a balcony stateroom, you're still going to be able to make some people jealous, I'm sure. So I would give the aesthetic a 3. And then the final rating is noise level. And obviously the stateroom is really quiet. It's a great place to work. So I would give it a 5. So overall, working in the stateroom so far has been pretty good. So we'll move on to our next location.
So, can you work from the Flowrider? I would say yes, you can, but I wouldn't recommend it. It is really loud, obviously. The internet's actually pretty good. I think part of that is because everybody's off the ship. We're in St. Martin today, but the bench isn't super comfortable and the water's really loud. There's some bumping music going on. It's a good vibe. So I'd say like the internet here is 4. The aesthetic is like a 5 for sure. We have St. Thomas in the background, people surfing, it's pretty cool. Comfort level, I would say it's probably a 2 or a 3. The benches aren't great. Noise level is a 1. So yeah, I mean, if you're just doing some typing, going through emails and stuff, I would say you could definitely work from the Flowrider, but I probably won't be. It'd be very hard to take a call here.
Oh, also, one thing I wanted to point out, a little tip that I will remember for next time is if you work on a secured VPN, don't forget, if you're using two-factor authentication and the second part is your phone, you will need 2 devices for internet. I signed up for the 1 device plan. I was going to get 2, but it was a lot more expensive, so I decided not to go for it. Luckily, most of the work I can do is off VPN, but if you do work on a secured network only, you're going to want to consider that. I also heard that somebody else had some struggles working off of a Royal Caribbean ship when they had VPN, so you might want to check in advance. And I don't know how the installation of Starlink coming up here in the next few months is going to affect that as well. Just a couple of things to think about. We're going to figure out whether you can work from the casino. No, I'm kidding. That would be silly.
Central Park, working from Central Park is amazing. The vibe is great. You're next to nature. Very comfortable place to sit. I did the speed test. The speed test is pretty consistent with other places on the ship. No problems at all. Taking video calls, doing anything you have to do. Overall, it's a great place to work. I would mention a couple of things that you might want to think about. So I'm here on a port day, so as you can tell, it's not super busy right now. So this seating on a sea day is going to be a lot more packed, so it might be hard for you to find a good place to sit and work from. Another thing to think about is you are outdoors, and we are in the Caribbean, so it can get pretty warm, but if you can find a shady spot, it's usually pretty breezy in Central Park, so it's not really that bad. And then the final thing I would say you'd have to think about is there's no place to plug in around here, so it's not like you're going to be able to work here all day from a laptop, but to work a couple hours, it's a really great spot. I would give it a 5 for comfort. I would give it a 4 for aesthetics. I would give it a 3 for noise level and a 4 for internet quality.
The next place I checked out is known as Seven Hearts, and if you don't know what that is, I don't blame you because I didn't either. It's known as different things to different people and in different materials. It's known as Royal Online in some places. People know it as the card room, the library, the internet cafe. So it does have a lot of different names. It's on deck 14 forward, and when you see it, you see that it is kind of all of those things. You can play chess, you can play cards. They've got a bank of computers where you can access the internet, and then of course there's tables and stuff and books. So there's lots to do in there. It's very quiet. I would say it's almost too quiet. Now, if you look at the internet speed that you're getting from the computers that you log into, that they have, the desktops, it's really good, like around 50 megabytes per second. That's excellent. So if you're working and you don't require like a work computer to work, you're not locked down, that would probably be a pretty good bet for you, especially if you're doing something that involves a lot of data moving around in the internet. Then when I checked my laptop, still not bad. It's about average for around the ship. So if you do need to use your workstation, you're going to get, good speeds for video conferencing and pretty much doing anything that you need to do. So to rank it, I would say, noise level, I would give it a 5 because it's really quiet. That might actually also be a bit of a drawback. I had to shoot this video here because there were a couple people in there and I didn't want to interrupt them. It is a quiet space. So if you're going to take calls, you're probably not going to be able to do that if there are people in there with you because they're reading and stuff. So it is a quiet space. It's comfortable. Aesthetically, I would give it a 1. It's a nice space, but there's nothing that shows people that you are anything but in a room. Like you could be anywhere. You're definitely not, showing the scenery or making anybody jealous if that's what you're trying to do. So overall, it's not a bad spot, but I probably wouldn't work in here. Oh, one more quick note. That speed of about 50 megabits per second is kind of what people were saying they were getting from that Starlink test that they did on Freedom of the Seas. And now that that's rolling out aggressively amongst the whole fleet, if you can start seeing, speeds of 30 to 50 megabytes per second around the ship, it's going to be transformational for working from cruise ships. They are expecting to complete work on all of their ships, not only Royal, but all of their sub-brands like Celebrity, and I'm not sure what the other ones are, but they're expecting to have all of that work wrapped up by the end of Q1. So going into next summer, everybody's going to have some really nice, fast internet aboard the ship.
right, so I'm on the first level of the solarium, which is the 14th floor. I managed to snag this really great day bed, and the view is pretty good too. It looks like it might rain actually. So again, the internet is pretty good here, as it is all over the ship. I would say that the downside of coming to the solarium to work is similar to that of Central Park, and that would be on sea days. You're never getting one of these day beds. I can't believe I even got one today. There's actually quite a bunch of people down here. So finding a comfortable place to post up out of the sun is probably not super easy. And then again, it is a solarium, so it is warm in here. So I can see myself working here for maybe half an hour or so, but any longer than that, I might cook. So I would say internet 3, comfort level 5. This bed is sick, although hopefully I don't fall asleep during one of my colleagues' boring calls. I'm not going to name names though. I would say aesthetic is really high. It's like a 4. Noise level, it's a little bit noisy. I would give it a 2. Overall, not a bad place to work from. So today is Friday. It is our final day sailing aboard Symphony of the Seas, so I thought today would be the perfect day to provide a summary whether I think that working from Symphony from the Seas is something that you could and should do, and I would say unequivocally yes. I would say that the Wi-Fi throughout the ship is really stable. It's not fantastic, but I didn't really receive many dropouts, and there was enough bandwidth there to open up all my spreadsheets and tabs and run video calls as well. So the great thing about Symphony of the Seas as well is there's a lot of different places that you can actually go and work from, depending what the vibe is, how you're feeling, what kind of work you're doing. So I definitely recommend it. Overall, I would give it a 4 out of 5, and definitely the best ship I've ever been on from working from a ship. So I do have a couple of disclaimers about this video. The first one is a friend of mine who's a really techie kind of guy told me that some networks will throttle websites like speed test websites, which actually push through a lot of data to measure how much the network can handle. So Royal Caribbean might be throttling the network. So the numbers that you saw throughout the ship, they were pretty consistent. They may be throttled. It might actually be better than what we saw, but I think about 3 megabits per second is probably pretty much what you're getting on the ship, which again is good for most things that you want to do. I did struggle in the evening if I wanted to watch streaming video. I had some buffering issues, but other than that, like I said, the internet was really, really good. As for my rating system, it is completely non-scientific. It was just the vibe and the way I was feeling at that time. So, if you're expecting a really scientific analysis from this video, I apologize, but you did not get that. Thanks for watching.